further back you go, it still hangs in the air. And so it looked like the police had taken over completely at the end of the street. But again, far down the street, the clouds of tear gas kind of engulfing everything. Just a few seconds ago, after a lull of about 5 minutes, another stun grenade went off. And so they're still firing off. And again, my entire face, from my nose and my lips and my eyes, it's all burning. It feels like it's almost on fire. And so I can't imagine what people who are actually in it feel.
I watched Mr. Lee's riveting testimony last night live there on the Lawrence O'Donnell Show, so let me bring him in now. MSNBC.com national reporter Tremaine Lee and Matt Pierce, LA Times reporter, who have both been on the scene in Ferguson, Missouri. Tremaine, let me start with you. How do you feel being there today? Are other reporters feeling worried about the situation escalating even further like it did last night?
I think at this point, early this morning was kind of the calm after the storm, and already people are starting to gather. You can hear behind me, the horns are honking, people are still chanting. But with all the leaders in the country, with their eyes focused on Ferguson, with the world watching, with all the media surrounding this town to see how it will go next, with politicians saying that now is time for peace and it's time to demilitarize the situation, people hope that it will be calm, but once night falls, who knows what will happen.
Yeah, and I was always thinking when they said, well, why don't people just protest during the day? They have jobs. They have to go to work. So they have to come home and then be able to express their own amendment rights to protest. Matt, President Obama met with Eric Holder, and now the Department of Justice is offering tactics. Is Obama doing enough?
Well, that's not really my place to say, but I was at the community meeting this morning where community leaders were talking about, the police response last night. The people who were out here, they just said it was too intense. Assault rifles on the streets, armed personnel carriers, it freaked people out. And that has drawn the attention of the national politicians now, and I've spoken with some Ferguson residents since the politicians have made their statements today. And there does seem to be a sense that national politicians and state-level politicians are paying attention to them, but they're uncertain about what's going to happen tonight. They say that's contingent on what the police do. When they come, conflict tends to come with them. That's been the case over the past few days.
Tremaine Lee, let me try with you. Is President Obama doing enough? Was that a sufficient answer he gave, or at least addressing the situation in a way that would reduce the palpable tension that you feel there?
When it comes to matters of President Obama weighing in, particularly in these racially fraught cases, we know that, everyone's not going to be satisfied. He was criticized after the Trayvon Martin killing that he drug his feet for days, weeks, until he said, he could have been my son. In this case, even though the racial element is here, it's not stinging through the same way it did with the Zimmerman case. But so for him to step up and say that protesters need not be, attacking police, but also law enforcement needs to, step carefully, I think he's doing something. He's letting everyone know that he's paying attention. Of course, he's on vacation in Martha's Vineyard, so I think he probably had to come out and say something. It just doesn't look good if you're out vacationing and then an American city is under siege. It just doesn't look right.
Well, Tremaine, what do friends of the Brown family say about the riots?
No one wants the violence. No one believes or expressed that they believe that the violence will solve anything. Even though everyone understands the frustration, they understand the kind of anger that's been bubbling up in so many people, they say if you really want to honor Michael Brown's life and his legacy and what his death might mean in the bigger sense about young black men, their lives, and interactions with police, then do it peacefully. Now, there are some leaders now in town, and national civil rights groups are focusing, and the hope is that now they'll be able to use all this good energy that all these young people have maintained and continue to maintain, use it for some positive way, some way that they can figure out how to really get the most out of the system.
Matt, earlier today, Ferguson Police Chief Thomas Jackson was asked about the brutality from police. Here's his response from the news conference.
I understand that. The other side of that is there is gunfire. There are firebombs being thrown at the police. And I understand that what it looks like is not good. The whole situation is not good at this point.
Matt, sometimes people may believe that we're seeing a world split apart by different perceptions because nobody there with cameras or anything has captured the picture of crowds firebombing the police and the like. What's your reaction to what the police chief said?
Well, I will say that in 2 of the 3 nights that I've been out here, I've had protesters telling me, to get away, not because they're trying to intimidate me, but for my own safety, because they said, there are other protesters with guns out here. And I have spoken with the Ferguson police chief, and after the first night of riots and looting on Sunday night, well, that was the only night that there was looting, he said that there were 3 shots fired at him in the Walmart parking lot. I spoke with the St. Louis County Police Chief last night. They said that they were hearing more reports of gunfire. No one has been hit, thankfully. But the chief did say that there was an officer who had broken his ankle after a protester had hit him with a brick. So there is reports of violence out here. I haven't personally seen it myself, but the problem with the scene is that it's so spread out, so chaotic, that it's impossible for any reporter sitting in one place to know everything that's going on. And I think something that you'll find that people in this community will tell you is that the people who use that kind of violence are not representative of them, but people do believe that there are a few bad actors out there.
Sure. Tremaine, one of the unfortunate consequences of situations like this, when you capture a community frozen in time, is that you see the outrage and the emotional outburst that they may legitimately and justifiably make in response to an invisible form of oppression that they've endured, and now we see it's visible. But so the people get demonized. But tell us how the people there have been treating you in the community.
Quite frankly, I've gotten a level of hospitality, not that I wouldn't expect, but under the circumstances, an outpouring of support and help in trying to tell their story and what's happening in their community. Last night, as I was here, and the police were launching tear gas canisters, and everyone's running, and our faces feel like they're on fire. People were comforting each other, and I couldn't get back to my car, which is on Canfield near the scene of the killing. A group of young ladies said, "Just follow us." So I followed them back through the winding roads in the neighborhood and got back to the area of my car. I was on a call, I think, with Lawrence O'Donnell on the phone, or Chris Hayes, and I said, I'm out here at the scene of the killing, and I could still the tear gas was still burning my face. A guy came out of his house, said, "Are you Tremaine? I heard you. I was watching MSNBC, and I heard that you were right out here." Brought me in, gave me a glass of water, let me charge my phone, offered me dinner. His wife had just cooked earlier that night, and he offered me dinner. Then after that, he got in his car, and I followed him out of the neighborhood. People have come out, and even within groups of the people who were protesting, there was talk earlier before things unraveled about how can they turn this into some economic means. How can they maybe withhold their economic support? These are conversations from young people that felt they never had a voice, who don't necessarily feel they have the agency to affect political change, and they're having these conversations. They're prayer circles. It's been a lot of love, despite the fact that there's been so much aggression and so much violence, and all the images that we've been putting out into the world have been full of tear gas and violence.
Sure, Matt, and then Tremaine as well, but I want to ask Matt first. I want to get both of your responses. Congressman Lewis called on the president to declare martial law. Here's what he said.
My own feeling is, right now, is that President Obama should use the authority of his office to declare martial law. Federalize the Missouri National Guard to protect people as they protest.
Matt, and then Tremaine, what's your reaction to that?
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen. Governor Nixon announced a little bit earlier that the Missouri State Highway Patrol would be taking over crowd control from this point. And the man that he wants to lead that effort is African American. And that's something that I think a lot of people in this community here cite as one of the reasons that these scenes are upsetting to them. It's predominantly African American people in the street. It's overwhelmingly white police officers, holding the weapons against them. So, what's going to happen tonight? I don't know. They don't know. A lot of people tell me it's contingent on who shows up. What happens?
Right. Tremaine?
And as you know, Michael, community leaders would say that more law enforcement isn't the answer. Let's remember what brought us here to Ferguson in the first place. A young, unarmed teenager was shot and killed by the police, and there's still so many questions surrounding that. We don't know if it was justified or not. It's not pointing that direction, but we don't know enough to make that kind of decision. But it goes back to even in Chicago, we're talking about bringing the National Guard in. Do we think that if the National Guard could come here, lock it down, and treat people respectfully? That would be the question that people in the community would ask. Is it just another layer of law enforcement to oppress them, to subjugate them? That would be the fear. And so, who knows?
All right. Tremaine Lee, Matt Pierce, thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Coming up, President Obama joined the chorus of politicians calling for peaceful resolutions in Ferguson. Plus, protests in Missouri have brought the issue of over-policing in America front and center. The Rapid Response Panel weighs in as the community searches for answers.
The model year ends. And we're unleashing the 2014 Nissan Altima. Bottom line, Altima is the most exciting sedan on the road.
During Nissan's bottom line, choose Altima just $189 per month or get 0% APR.
Innovation that excites.
Shop ChooseNissan.com.
Starting Friday at Joseph A. Bank, it's half off. Plus, your third item is free. That's a huge selection of shirts, ties, pants, polos, and shorts. Mix and match. It's half off, and your third item is free. Through Monday, only at Joseph A. Bank.
When pain goes deep, I use Salon Plus Deep Relieving Gel. This powerful gel rushes 3 pain fighters deep into my muscles. It's fast melting, quick absorbing, penetrating deep relief. Salon Plus.
The strength of the First Amendment by pointing sniper rifles at protesters and arresting journalists. Your right to assemble is not being denied. Protesters just before the sudden crackdown. A Washington Post reporter and another journalist were arrested.
Time Warner Cable brings you closer to Outlander anytime, anywhere with the TWC TV and Stars Play apps. Whatever you're passionate about, we invent better ways to love it even more. Call today to add Stars. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better.
Carol's next huge thing is here.
That's right.
Solo app for your smartphone or mobile device.
It's so simple, you download it to your smartphone and you can find all sorts of things online. Inventory online. Service, you make an appointment for service online. Brochures for the vehicles. There's even a gas finder, Tom. It's all in one place at your fingertips on your mobile device.
Download it today from any of our Fusola websites. The new Fusola app. It is
and badge numbers of those who arrested him.